what are the things you remember? If there are many things you remember after 20, oh yeah, he was a leader. I don't want that. We're taking a snapshot of people at different age, because the way they all say the different age group. So I want as a young teenager, what was your understanding? And do you remember the liberation?
I do vividly remember quite a number of things. Firstly, 12 coaches went to London to demonstrate against the Pakistani atrocities. And the leadership from Oldham, in fact the Northwest, they had 12 coaches in Oldham.
That is extraordinary.
Extraordinary, yes. And I do recall the burning of the Pakistani flag, right, in
Oldham?
No, in
London.
Yes, the square. And yes, I did have some pictures of it, but somehow that.
Did you go in that bus?
Yes, I went.
All right, well, carry on. So,
yes.
So there were 12 buses.
Yes, 12 buses, 12 coaches went from Oldham.
And who were the people who?
The community Bangladeshi people who mainly worked in the mills.
Yes.
In those northern areas.
Yes.
They actually were very passionate in terms of what was going on. And
your dad and
my father was here. My father was a religious teacher, but he worked in the mill as well. My older brother also worked in the mill.
Okay.
And I do recall when the people were raising the funds, 2 weeks of their wages went into the cause of the freedom fighters. And I do recall coming to UMIST, where there was our friend Mr. Hassan Matin's father.
Yes,
Mr. Abdul Matin Chaudhry. And also there was a gentleman from Salford University, also Mr. Chaudhry.
Okay.
He's actually retired now in Bangladesh. We had several symposiums going in the Northwest. So I attended 3 of those. I particularly remember the UMIST one, where I stood up on the chair to say the 6th Fleet from USA is going in the Indian Ocean. And what is the UN doing about this?
And to stop the end of the beginning of December.
Stop this barbarism. And I do recall some of the snippets of pictures. One in particular that is actually trenched in my mind is the French magazine called the Le Figaro, where it showed the bayoneted a child, and that is still in my head. The other things that I do recall in terms of how I, as a pupil in secondary school, obviously we were Pakistanis at the time, but this separation and the thinking of independence, I took up. I was part of a debating society in Grange School in Oldham, where I took a principal motion there to say Mrs. Gandhi is right to recognize Bangladesh, and my opposition was the Pakistani girl. Actually, she was my neighbour as well, so it was interesting. She's a doctor now back in Luton.
So she was not.
She was not. She was against it. The motion. She was from Pakistan.
Oh, right. West Pakistan.
West Pakistan.
Okay.
Punjabi speaking. Yeah. So we were neighbours, friends.
The other thing we do, I know you were very young, but we just want to know, what do you think of the community spirit that time? And as Koshwai also mentioned, did you that time remember any of the leaders who were looming around?
Certainly, I came to a couple of meetings. One in Manzil as a kid. I sat at the back and watched people. Mr. Nazir, Mr. Mateen.
So were you actually absconding from the school?
No. Weekends. I wasn't absconding, and I was my attendance was pretty excellent attendance in school. So I wasn't absconding, but it was the interest.
Yeah.
I think one of the things at the time unless people are professionally bound in the Pakistani apparatus, Bangladeshis, East Pakistanis were predominantly against the atrocities.
Right. But I'm amazed that you were 13, and I can't remember many 13 years people would be involved like that. What you were
funnily enough, because of motivation and other things, I was put in the bottom of the class. Then suddenly after 3 months, I put in the A form because it's the kind of.
The other thing I want to know, because good to have some reminiscence from Oldham, because most of the people we were talking so far was in Manchester, someone. Did you see people from other parts of Northwest coming here?
Yes, from Rochdale, from other northern towns, were mill towns.
So
I won't be able to name them.
No, but at least so mill workers did come.
I knew the fact that the mill towns, the cotton mill, was thriving in the 50s and the 60s, and hence our arrival for the labour market was open. My father worked in the mill, my brother worked in the mill. These were multi-shifts. You worked from 6 a.m. till 2 p.m., 2 p.m. till 10, and it just ran. The mill was open 24/7. So that's how it
Very
was.
nice scenario. Okay, well, just one little short snippet I want to know, just to get the idea at that time, you know. You remember the spirit that time, and now 50 years is coming soon. How do you feel now that, well, before that, let me ask you, the day we got the independence, 16 December, where were you and what did you do?
I think there's an euphoria. People felt really pleased.
What did you do that day?
I can't remember. But I can't remember what I was doing. But certainly we were celebrating.
What are you?
Celebrating with.
Was you older or did you come to Manchester?
We might have come to Manchester because my brother was involved as well. He's passed away about 14 years ago. But yeah. So he was my older brother, but he was leading some of this stuff, and I was following him as well. So they gave their wages and support from here.
I mean, one question I'm asking after 50 years, because the kind of community spirit which you all had that time, we're now reflecting back after 50 years, how do you see that is there now?
There is nostalgia. This is nostalgia. There's deeper understanding of politics and democracy and people's rights. My whole life has been about social work, community development, human rights, and making sure people actually enjoy living in a liberal democracy and relishing those rights. And where there is a curtailment, a stifling of human rights, something which I totally oppose to. And so young democracies like Bangladesh, I think they should...
No, but people here,
people
asking in the Northwest, we are trying to understand the community spirit. I know you're a leader now. The kind of thing that you experience there, what are the changes you think? Is there any transformation of the community spirit?
Definitely there is a transformation. You get these new arrivals who are coming to settle in this country either through spouse marriages. And there are existing grandparents like Mrs. Asanullah, who's settled here with the 4th generation here. She has.
No, I just wanted a simple question. What was the spirit there and how do you see it now?
Well, in terms of that transformation in people still have a belonging. They do think there's a motherland.
Yeah.
The umbilical cord which pulls them, which is Bangladesh. And
Because
so
if I can interject, because 20 years ago I used to teach free Bangladeshi Bengali language to people in Liverpool, in Sheffield. I don't see that spirit now. This is why I asked you. It's the same kind of thing. I know people like Khusru and others are trying to revive that spirit. But that kind of Bengali nationalism.
I personally had the Bangla school 3 times. In '84, we started at St. John's School here.
Correct. That same time I was also.
Bengali school, Bengali, so the patriotism to preserve the language, there's that movement still going on. There are second supplementary schools going on to teach Bangla.
Okay.
In the midst of Manchester City Council, we actually pay.
It's just not many people speak Bengali now.
I think the spirit, when you talk about the spirit, when you talk about the zest, the enthusiasm to have the 2nd or the 3rd generation speaking Bengali or taking GCSEs in Bengali, it's probably fizzling out.
Okay, that is the one I was
fizzling out
thinking.
because the main language is English. And people will be testing 11 plus exams.
So there's a waning of this spirit than before.
There is that winning of that spirit of Bangladeshi or Bengali speaking language.
Thank you very much. And I just want, can you introduce yourself in the camera?
Yes, indeed I can.
Full name and...
I am, at the moment, Councillor Ahmed Ali. I'm also a sitting magistrate for the last 12 years in the Greater Manchester. And I had a successful career in social work, community development and equality and human rights. Currently, for the last 8 years, I'm actually a councillor in the City Council. I chair the audit committee. I also take part in the adoption panel where we look at families to adopt children. And I'm also part of the resource and governance committee for the City Council.
Where do you live in Manchester?
I live in Rusholme.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's end today's interview. Thank you very much.